Hi. Oh, wow. Uh, Welcome to my speech. My name is Agnieszka Molska Jakobson, and I come from Ghost Games from Gothenburg. Uh, First, a little bit about my title. The story is like that actually I was contacted by Marcus and Magnus about the conference, and I thought, yeah, obviously, Ghost should be here. We should talk about our we should be there. We should be present at such a conference. We're a gaming company. So they asked me who's going to give a talk, and I said, well, just give me a couple of days. I'm going to find someone. And then I didn't. So they said, well, give me some names. And I said, well, just put my name for a second, and I will find someone. And then I did a horrible job on finding someone, and I didn't. So they said, yeah, so we put your name on the schedule. So what are you going to talk about? And it wasn't very easy because I'm not a gamer myself. I don't develop games, and the only connection to games is that I actually work in a gaming company. But what I work with is values, culture, and the team. So one of my goals is happy and healthy team, and that connects a lot to the culture. So I said, well, okay, I can prepare a talk on company culture. And here I am. So the epic battle, that's also a little story to that. I wanted to be cool, being so old as I am, and knowing that there are students here and young people. I wanted to have like, yeah, I'm gonna have something connected to the gaming world. So it has to be like battle for the culture. And then I thought, yeah, epic battle is gonna be awesome. But then I thought, do I really know what epic means? And yeah, I thought maybe I should check what it means, really. So epic means heroic or grand in scale or character. And the synonyms are ambitious, extraordinary, very long, and monumental. And then I thought, yes, that is exactly what it is. The balloon culture is exactly what it is. It really suits the title. So what's the goal of the presentation? As I said, I'm not a gamer. I'm not a game developer. I come here as a person who I'm not a scientist, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to come to give you like endless data on how to behave and how to build a culture, but I've researched some things, and I found a lot of things that are extremely interesting on the internet, and I've been looking through some TED Talks, read some excerpts from books, listened to podcasts, and it's really, there is so much on that the goal is to give you what I found and to share some thoughts on that. And as well, I had a personal goal because when I found out I'm going to speak here, I thought that's going to be a little room. Then it appeared that it's the big room, and having a microphone, and this is the first time I'm speaking like that, so I thought I have to overcome it, and it's my personal development goal to stand here and present for so many people. So a little bit about myself. Who am I? I was born in Warsaw, long time ago, 1974. Well, my house doesn't look like that, but I think it can show a little bit about what Warsaw was and what Poland was in these times. It was really like basically all shades of gray. We didn't have colors. And actually, when I was doing a presentation at Ghost, we have also like who am I's for everyone. When I showed some pictures from my childhood, people came up to me and said like, "How old are you really? I mean, did you take part in the Second World War?" And yeah, I didn't, but close to that. No. Yeah, so born in Poland, I didn't really know what I want to do in my life. Couldn't decide what I want to become when I grow up. So basically, I did a little bit of everything. So I studied bits and pieces of like archaeology, sports, and rehabilitation, and then acting. I wanted to become an actress, but I was shit on stage, so I really was real big stage fright. And then languages and pedagogy. So in the end, I became a teacher of English and worked there for a while. And then I went to London for holiday and met my husband, who was Swedish, fell in love. And then moved to Sweden in 2001. So I've lived in Sweden now for 17 years. I have 3 kids. And the first job I had in Sweden was being a salesperson. I like the black and white pictures, I think. So I didn't sell vacuum cleaners. I was selling something else, but it was also about that was basically contacting clients, calling them, and then setting up, establishing relationships with clients and coordinating the production that was also happening, finding solutions for them, and cooperating. That was a close relationship with the clients. Then I realized that I hate the sales part of the job, but I love the connection with the people. I love to talk to people and try to brainstorm for new solutions with them. So I went on and I found some courses in project management. I actually didn't know that project management exists per se, that there is that you can have a job as project manager. But I really liked it, so I went and did some courses in project management. Then I went on to work in a Caterpillar dealership as an executive assistant. There was some work with culture as well and values and with the leadership team. But then after 4 years I changed, and in the end I ended up in Ghost on the roof with some bees that I'm going to tell you a little bit more about later on. So I'm going to talk to you about culture. I'm breathing heavily. Culture is quite an interesting thing. When you look at culture, it's basically a behavior, a social behavior of a group or a particular society or people. And culture can be a lot of things. Like the factors are customs, rituals, behaviors, faith, language, attitudes, music. It can be food, it can be anything. What we're going to do today is talk about company culture. So it's almost the same, but it doesn't have to have all the factors in it. So what is company culture? I heard that majority of people here are either students or little startups. So you are really lucky because you can set up the culture like you want to, like you really believe in. So the first thing to start with, to work with culture, is to have the vision and mission. And vision is something that answers the question, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? What is your vision for the future? Mission, on the other hand, this is what are you doing? What do you want to do? It gives you purpose. Those two things give purpose for the company. Then you set a set of values. And values are sort of the guidelines on how to behave. And values are very important because values help you a lot when you are in bad times. A lot of times, especially in gaming industry, you have crunching, you have to deliver on certain times, you cannot change the deadlines. And when the shit hits the fan, it's really hard sometimes to know how to behave and what not to do and what to do. So for the leadership or for you who set up the company, it's really important that you fall back on your values and you check, are all the decisions I'm taking according to the values? Or maybe I want to change the values. Maybe there's something I don't live, and then I should change it and then be transparent with that. So it's really important. All of those things, they drive the behaviors, norms, and beliefs, habits. They determine the how we do things around here. So I was looking at a lot of the different, like I told you, the talks and podcasts, and I found a couple of quotes that I found very interesting, and I wanted to bring them up. The first one is quite a long one, but I want to read it out. If you're lucky enough to be someone's employer, you have a moral obligation to make sure people do look forward to coming to work for you in the morning. So this is something that if you are a startup company, you really have to make sure that you do it. It's you and the people who work for you have to really like it. And especially if you are supposed to work long hours, especially if you start a company, it's usually hard work for a couple of years. So the culture, the corporate culture is not some, I mean, the companies have understood that corporate culture is not something nice to have. It's really more of something that is a must. That's not a new thing within the corporate industry. I mean, people have understood it a long time ago, but it's really something that you have to have. And especially you, young people, like when I was reading through some research, especially in the US, I'm not sure if it would be the same in Sweden, but like young professionals of probably your age, is like you don't care so much about money as I did maybe, or your parents did. It's really about a lot of like, you want your work to have a meaning, you want work-life balance, it's important for you to have a good impact on the environment and on the society, and money is not as much as important. Maybe because you, like, I mean, the generation saw the parents working their asses off and really being really working hard, and then now being maybe too tired and too sick, or not maybe have a possibility to enjoy their lives like they could have done, or spend the time with the kids like they wanted to do when you were young. Another one is culture is strategy for breakfast. And so independent of how many strategies you have for your growth for the company, if you don't have the right culture and strong positive culture, it will fall. It is a short-term goal. You can have strategies that work for short time, but if you want to have like a long-term company and long-term goals, you have to have a culture to fall back on. Because if people don't connect to each other, they don't care about the strategies. The goals are for the company the money that the company wants to earn. They don't give a shit about that if they don't feel connected to the people who are working there, to the leadership, and that everybody is walking the talk as well. And then culture is not an initiative. It's an enabler of all initiatives. So culture is not something that you... Now, I work in a big company, and I've worked in other companies, and there's a lot of times it happens that the company, when they see that, well, our culture is not really what we want it to be, let's just bring in some consulting company, pay them a lot of money, and then can turn the culture. Let's make it a project. And it's not a project, it's not an initiative. Culture is something that you have to live. It's something that it's an iterative process. You have to work for it, and you have to really live it to make it a constant. Of course, you can change it. It's not like that once you set a culture, you're going to have it forever. I mean, you have to fall back to the values and see what's important for you. So why is it important? Well, it's very important from the company's perspective. From the company's perspective, the strong culture raises the retention. So people who work in the company stay longer. And it's very expensive to find a new person. If someone leaves the company, especially if you have like a person who's been doing a lot of different things, it's hard to onboard a new person just within a couple of weeks. You have to work much more, and you have to spend a lot of money to find a new person, then onboard the person and wait for the person to be productive. So it's retention is really important for companies from the company's perspective. Then you have happiness. Of course, happiness rises because people are more connected to each other. So the company sees that the people enjoy themselves at work, and it's very important for them as well. Then you have innovation. Companies often say that we want to have a lot of innovation, but innovation is actually trying out new things, right? So if you don't feel connected to the people you're working with closely, if you don't feel you have a relationship and trust, and you're not trusted, you don't want to make mistakes in front of these people. So if you have a boss that doesn't allow you to make mistakes and sees mistakes as a way to an improvement or to a new solution, then it's a problem. So companies, the strong culture, positive culture, obviously, drives innovation as well. So it's good for the company. Then collaboration, there's a lot of values that you read in different companies. They have collaboration as a value, and collaboration is important for both between the leaders and the people, and between the people themselves and between the leaders themselves. So of course you collaborate more easily when you are connected to the people, when you have built relationships. You are more eager to give feedback, whether it's a nice feedback or a constructive one. You feel more secure, and collaboration rises as well. And then the diversity. Of course, you're more open to people who you know. And diversity, I mean, it can be both the gender and age and so on, but it also is the type of behaviors and beliefs and the way we're dressing, the way we talk, things we eat, whatever. So diversity is better, and the teams, of course, diverse teams perform better, and diversity drives higher solution finding, right? So diverse teams come to better solve problems better. And of course productivity as well for the company, because all of that above gives to the productivity. So from the company's perspective, it's very important. And then the next one, from the employees' perspective, is exactly the same. So it's the retention. You feel that if there is a company that if you join a company that have a lot of people who have been there for a long time, if there is a strong culture, of course, not just because they are comfy there, you can feel that there is a possibility for you to develop yourself. There is a succession planning. There is like a long-term goals that you can follow. So the retention is important as well. If you see that people are changing all the time, the people, like leaders, are changing, there's people leaving all the time, that gives you a sense of insecurity, and you feel, why did they leave? Maybe I should also look around for something new. So it gives a sense of insecurity. And then happiness, of course, if you feel you want to come to work, if you wake up on Monday and you feel like, well, yeah, let's do it, I like it, it's everything. I mean, just to wake up in the morning and want to come to work because you know that the people who are there are going to welcome you, and you like them. You don't have to really like them, but I mean, you get along, you feel trusted, and you have relationships. And then innovation, obviously, like I said before, it rises when you have relationships with people, because it's so much easier for me if I know that someone won't judge me for being wrong. I can come and have crazy ideas and say like, well, I would like to have to do that, and I know that they're not going to just tell me you're stupid, stop it. So the innovation is driven as well, and innovation feeds innovation as well. So it's like it can be innovation at your work, but it can be with your job. I mean, within your job, but it can be innovation for different, for the whole company, right? For the ways of working, for anything. And collaboration, of course, it's easier for you to come to someone who you sort of know and you have connected with. Diversity, again, same thing. Like I said before, it's for me, it's much easier to understand someone if there is one person who's always grumpy and pissed off at work. But then, if I don't know why, I can only be defensive and also pissed off and aggressive. But if I know why, if I know that the person maybe is going through something really hard at home, or maybe that they're fighting some sickness or something, then it's so much easier to collaborate with people and to build, like to feel secure and have the trust. And the diversity, I don't like if like we have people who come in to work, like maybe gaming industry is not that of a problem, but if you have some companies that really you have like you feel you should dress up as a, I don't know, always have a suit or whatever, and you have to feel confident to maybe not do it. You have to feel secure that you're going to be accepted if you do certain things, of course within the framework, right? And then the productivity, I mean, productivity makes you makes you happy, I think. If you are productive, if you feel you can be productive at work, it spins your engine. I mean, you go on, you want to be productive. So how should it work? It should basically work, seems very easy, but it's not. We have leaders, and the leaders are always the most important ones. They are the drivers and the examples of the behaviors. So we have the leaders who have to drive values. And then the leaders who drive values, they drive behaviors. So employees follow them. And it's really as simple as that, but of course it's hard to achieve, but it's really about that. We have to have leaders with the strong values who behave according to the values, and then they're going to drive everybody else's behaviors. And then that will drive the whole culture. And that drives the performance of the company and of the people. So that's how it should look. Then a little bit about Ghost Games. We are an electronic arts studio. We are in 3 locations. I work in Gothenburg, Sweden, and I'm going to be concentrating on that, on my work there. We also have a studio. So in Gothenburg, we are about 120 people at the moment. We have a studio in Bucharest. We are about 40 there. And Guildford, UK, just outside London. I think we're just reaching 50 almost there. So we're growing. We have made 3 games. We made Need for Speed Rivals, Need for Speed, and Payback. And this is our only brand. We don't work with anything else. And now we started with 6 people. There were the original 6. And then the 6 people, within 2 years, they became 120. So it was a really huge change to just have new people coming in every week, a couple of people. So it was really big influence on the culture, right? We are 15 nationalities. I just counted very quickly on the train. I think we are 15 in Sweden. We are more in Bucharest and in London as well. And then we have people from 22 to 57 years old. So we have really a big span of various diverse people. Not as many women as we would like to have. So if you are women here who want to work, come to me later. So yeah, so it's a big mix. I want to say something a little bit more about the Ghost Games. So coming from 6 to 120 people within 2 years was a really turbulent time, and at the same time having to develop a game. We didn't really concentrate a lot on the culture. We didn't really concentrate a lot on mission and the vision. We just were making the game and tried to fill in the positions that we wanted to have in the company to be able to produce a game. Then, because we are an EA studio, it's not to forget, we have also been hanging our values and our purpose and beliefs on the EA values. And obviously EA is like 9,000 to 10,000 people, and they have very strong, they work with the culture also very strongly, so they develop a lot of these beliefs and purposes. They were also changing throughout since I started 2.5 years ago, and that's changed a couple of times already, because we see the need of concentrating on not maybe the players first, but the employees first. So there's a lot of talking about that. So within this is the EA purpose and beliefs, and then within that we have to create our own little subculture, because we have been concentrating a lot on Need for Speed. We had the brand Need for Speed, and Need for Speed brand has all the visions and missions and statements. But we are Ghost as well, so we didn't really think about the Ghost brand. And the thing is that if EA comes tomorrow and takes away and says, like, you're not making Need for Speed anymore, you're making Battlefield, what does it leave us to? We're not Need for Speed, we are Ghost, right? So it's very important to build a brand for the culture, for the people, not for just the product that we're building. So within this, we're looking at our own values and our own how to build our own subculture around that, and it's not very easy. What we did was we started defining the mission and the vision, and we're still defining it. We don't really have. We've had some thoughts on it. We have had some things during those 2.5 years, but it's still work in progress. And also because of the fact that we had the Need for Speed brand that was extremely strong, the brands were a little bit mixed together. So people thought we had a vision and mission, but that was Need for Speed, vision and mission. And then values. So in the beginning of 2018, we had some major leadership shifts, and it's still a little bit turbulent, and it's still, the change never happens very easily. And we decided that we really need to change the culture in the company. We really need to start working on who we are, and thereof I got my role as in April to work with the happy team and try to make the team happy, and to work with ghost branding, employer branding, and define a little bit more the culture that we want to work for. But we're still working on it. I mean, we have some values that I'm going to show you in a second, but they are still work in progress as well, so it's not very easy. And at the moment, so yeah, but in 2018, how we came to our values. We got together 200 people in workshops, all of the people we had, and we said, what do you think our values want to be? What do you want our values to be? What brings you here? Why do you want to come to work? And then together with them, we went through everything, like that it's the pride of the product or whatever it was, the trust, and then we sort of like defined the values, we wrote them down, and at the moment we're trying to incorporate the values in all the behaviors and like more in the processes. So for example, if we have a value transparency, then we have to make sure that certain decisions from the leaderships are transparent. So we have to have better communication. So we have to sort of look at all the processes that we have. And processes are extremely important in the company, because thinking about people doesn't make it that you have to stop thinking the processes, because you can't have a company that is driven by heroes. And it's a lot of times there is like heroes in the company. So for example, there are people who they drive certain things, but nobody knows really how they do it. They just are fantastic and they just manage to do things. But then when they disappear, nothing works. So you have to build at the same time caring about people, and that's also caring about people, actually building the processes. So like onboarding, what happens with people when they come the first day? It can be our internships, how we deal with internships. It's everything, all the processes that we can think of that we should actually do according to the values that we set. So relocations, like recruitment, one-to-one conversations, how to give feedback to each other, everything. So we're looking at everything at the same time a little bit and trying to do some small changes with the things that we think are most important. So these are our values. We said that at Ghost Games we thrive when we collaborate and respect each other, embrace autonomy with responsibility, act transparently and maximize flow, make bold decisions to enable innovation, inspire each other to grow, celebrate our achievements. It doesn't have to be so complicated. I mean, I think Microsoft has a value that says, don't be a jerk. So, I mean, you can, yeah, something like that, don't be a jerk. So you can set up your own rules, but whatever you say here, you have to understand what it means, really. And this is what we're trying to do now, because certain things can mean a lot of different things to different people. Like we are having a lot of discussions on what is collaboration. Like, for example, for me, collaboration, for some people, collaboration is taking down the walls, we're sitting all together and we just collaborate with each other. And for another person, collaboration is like, well, I want to be able to come to a leader and know that he's going to be sitting on a Wednesday for 2 hours in the place, that I'm going to be able to come to him and or her and talk to them about my problem and just raise my hand when I want to, and I'm going to be listened to. And not like that there is leaders who are never be to found, they're just around the place, always at meetings. So maybe it's freeing some time from a leader. Maybe collaboration for some people is how to give feedback to each other, because if I want to collaborate with you, I should be able to give you some constructive feedback without being scared that you're going to attack me. So it's a lot of things. So you have to, when you make your values, you have to understand what they really mean and what they mean to people, and define them then into when are we collaborative? What does it mean to respect each other? Does it mean to come to meetings on time? If it's important, if everybody is late to meetings all the time and other people get pissed off, maybe that's the thing you have to define. It's like, you have to come to meetings on time, or never set a meeting at 11. You always have to set it 11:05, because there's like meetings are back to back. So people run from one room to another and they are always late. So that's disrespectful for some people maybe. Or how we talk to each other. So it can be all different things. So a bit about my role. Like I mentioned, I have basically like 3 goals in Ghost, and one is happy and healthy team. Very easy. Putting Ghost on the map, and then retention of the expats, because we are about 50% expats in Gothenburg. Well, I have the beautiful role of trying to holding their leaders accountable when they forget what the values are. So it's a bit an unthankful role. It's not very easy to be the one, but because I'm Polish, I'm not really scared to give them my opinions, which they're sometimes thankful for, sometimes not. Basically, it's establishing, that should be actually the first line, establishing relationships with the team members, and it's both with leaders and with the team members, like all of them. So for me, it's independent of, we try to have a very flat organization, but it's also like, it's about having for example, the cleaners. We have 2 cleaners they have been with us since 6 years back. So they're one of the best employees we have, really. And to have them always included in everything, although they are contractors even, but it doesn't matter. Like if you're a contractor or not contractor, if you're an intern, we always try to include everyone and to build relationships with everyone. So I build relationships with like the studio head of the worldwide studios, right? But at the same time, try to talk to everyone in the team, low and high. And then examining the needs of the team on their way to be happy. So I basically have one-to-ones with people and ask them, so what do you think? How are we doing? How can I help? How can we become better? So it's like continuous improvement and trying to listen to people and trying then to act on the things. Because if you ask someone what they want you to improve, you should really try to listen to them and improve that, or have an answer to it, why not. And then, yeah, that's the basic thing, listening to people and making their voices heard. So if someone can come and say like, well, we have, for example, off the grid, something that is 2 days every 6 weeks, that we do something that is not on your schedule. So you can do whatever you want. You can develop a game, or you can do something that you shouldn't be, that you would never have on your normal schedule, day-to-day work. And because I drive it, there was some people who were not respecting that. So some people were setting up meetings during that time, and then people came to me like, well, they shouldn't be setting up meetings. It's disrespectful because we are having the off the grid, and then nobody's supposed to disturb us. And then so it's like trying to listen to people and try to solve their problems in a nice way, not like to say like, he said you shouldn't, but just to try to be a little political about that. And then lastly, our initiatives at Ghost. So what we do, like we look and like what my sort of initiatives, or like the things I'm driving at Ghost. So it's like onboarding. How do you feel when you come to work? Like, how is your first day, first week, first 90 days? What do we want you to feel? How do we want you to thrive, or to we want you to say after that first week. Buddy system, it is like when you start at Ghost nowadays, you get a buddy. You actually get two buddies. One is a role buddy, and that's a person from the team who help you to settle on and help you with the role tasks and with the problems maybe and questions you have within the role. And then there's the culture buddy, and we decided that I'm going to be the culture buddy, and that's more like taking someone for lunch and just connecting and building a relationship and asking how I can help show maybe Gothenburg, since we have so many expats, maybe ask them how we can just make their days easier, right? And then effective feedback. This is a new project that, so we're going to prepare, there is some skill boxes on EA as well internally, so like teach people how to give feedback. Because in Sweden there's also a special culture, and some people we have Germans who are much more direct in their feedback, and we have Swedish people who would rather maybe back out and not say it in front of other people. So we want to work with the feedback. We want to have like unanimous thought on how you should react and take and give feedback. Then studio experience is something like what happens when you come to the studio, how you work there, what do people want to sit with in their little cubicles, or do people want to sit in the landscape, or do people want to have rooms, and so on. And of course, it's not only what people want, but it's what serves our values and how do we collaborate, for example, or yeah, basically the studio experience, what happens when you come to the studio. And then bonding activities. There's a lot of bonding activities that I run. We have a games library that we try to make sure that we have all the newest games, events and family events. Of course, there's like always events that we, like summer parties, going to, because we're making Need for Speed, obviously, so going to some car exhibitions, bringing people in and having some talks, lunch and learns, maybe having like you name it. We would DreamHack for people who never been to DreamHack. We have a lot of different events. Then we have family events, which is like a lot of times we have expats with families who get relocated, and the families are quite like lonely. They don't speak the language. It's hard to connect with Swedish people generally, to get new friends, especially when they come from Canada and the US. They find it quite hard. So we try to always get in some the families in the work. I've just started like some initiatives on for the partners as well. It's just in the starting point. I haven't done much, but we were talking about some coffee mornings, learning the language a bit, talking about each other's cultures and so on. And the bees, yeah, that is the thing that is something. When I came to the company and I said to my manager, to the head of studio, I said, I want to have a beehive. And he looked at me and was like, you're fucked up. And then he said, okay. And I find the money. So I went around and I found the money from facilities. And some people thought it was crazy. Some people think it's wasps. They don't understand the difference. So 2 years after, we have a beehive on the Ghost roof. And we just got the little honey jar. Every employee got a honey jar from the bees, actually our own bees. So it's amazing. And then we have workout sessions. We have like Ghost choir, but I can't sing, so I started it, but then it died out a bit. So I have to find the funding or someone who is really passionate about doing the choir a bit more. So some initiatives die out, which is sad, but it's like it's a hard work to drive everything at the same time. And then we just had an internal competitions, like for example, when FIFA was launched, we did the FIFA competition. We had the air hockey competition because NHL was launched. I actually lost to a guy. I took second place in the air hockey. Very aggressive game. Very, very aggressive game. Then we have like partnerships with different associations. So we have Female Legends. We have Hello World. I don't know if you know, they try to spread the word of programming in among kids and young adults. And then we have studio visits, so we have people coming over. They're like, "Hi, we are this and that, and we want to visit your studio. Is it possible?" And then we take them in and show them all, what we do there. And so we have students. We had like some newly some guys that came from Syria actually. Just recently, they had been in Sweden for a year or something, and they wanted to come because they had game interests, and they contacted us. They came from Fall Shopping, and we showed them the studio, and it was amazing to listen to their stories. And then outreach and charity programs. So we have, like, for example, right now we're collecting at this moment warm jackets and trousers and some shoes and winter clothes for Trapanier. It's like a association for homeless people that give them shelter and give them some clothes, for example. And we have like a charity for, we had like Gatanslag. There are people who have lived in the homelessness and addiction, and they have been, they play football, and they are just going to Mexico for the World Cup, for the homeless football cup. It's amazing. We all the people at Ghost are really, I mean, it really, all the initiatives make people really feel the purpose and the meaning of coming to work. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you. And do you have any questions? Yes, there's one. Yeah. Maybe we'll have questions but no answers. I don't know.
Hey.
So, hello.
Hi.
I was thinking, since there's a lot of smaller companies here in Skövde, around maybe 10, 8,
Yeah.
Do you think it's important for these companies to think about the culture and values already when they're small? Because I think that's something that they don't think about, that they don't try to define, or does it come a point where they grow when it should become more important and they should start to define it? How do you have any thoughts about that?
I was thinking about that, but I think that it's really just sitting down and defining your mission. Like, where do I want to be? Just being even your own company, just working by yourself, it will help you to make the games that you want to make. So I think you should start from the beginning. And you're in a lucky place because you can define what you want to have. And then if you are 2, 3 people, then sit together and think like, what do we want to be? Where do we want to be? And then maybe discussions will bring you like, we don't have the same goals at all. So okay, so let's just do this game together, and then we can split up and find someone else who does something else, who fits my goals. Because I think this is exactly like at Ghost, we didn't think, we are a huge company. We didn't think about that from the beginning. We thought, oh, yeah, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. I mean, yeah, people have some culture, and then suddenly so many people came. And so I think it's really important, you should think about that. And values, if you have like, say that you have, someone asks you, come up to you like, yeah, what do you think about making a casino game? And you think like, I don't know. And maybe if you set up a value like, I don't want to make casino games, or yeah, I'm fine with making any game. Then you know from the beginning, yep, I'm fine with that. You know, if it's big money or whatever. I mean, so just sitting down and thinking and writing your mission and vision from the beginning, it's going to help you to set the whole strategy in a way, or like how you work. So I think absolutely.
Yeah, so since Ghost is spread out over 3 cities in 3 countries, has that fact been an issue in both developing and maintaining company culture?
Absolutely, yes, and especially that it's different cultures, and we have Romania, and they are, so I'm trying to have something to build it together. So we just started like 3 studios sync. We didn't have that in the beginning. So we have like meetings every week with the people who are responsible for the culture, and we talk about, so this is the initiatives we have, and this is what we're going to do. So we try to keep it sort of together, but there's always going to be different cultures. So there's going to be, we have our own little subculture that we want. Values are going to be the same, but then how you build around the values So maybe the meeting structure is going to be the same, but then how people talk to each other is going to be different, because maybe in Romania you have more what you call it, hierarchy, that you call each other sir or something, you know. And in England, it's like people are more used to saying, to be told like, yeah, just go and do it, and they are happy with that. And maybe in Sweden, you're like, whoa, 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 we have democracy, yeah. I have to tell you when I want to do that. So it's like it's always it's been a challenge, and it's going to be a bit different, but it's okay, I think. Especially that these teams are bigger as well now, so they're going to have their own culture.
Any more questions?
Woohoo! Thank you.